we're going to talk about the last question. Alright, so the product of two consecutive positive integers is 11, more than their sum. So what are the integers? So integers are basically whole numbers that are positive or negative. In this case, the question specifies that there are two positive integers and they're consecutive, okay? So that means that we need to find the value of the integers. So we know that, let's say integers a times b is equal to c. Okay, we know that there is a product. So that's the first thing that we know. The second thing is that they're consecutive. So we know that b is equal to a plus 1, right? So that's the second thing that we know, that they're consecutive. And finally, we know that c, or their product, is equal to 11 more than their sum. So it's equal to 11 plus their sum. So a plus b. Okay? So if we were to combine all these together, we would get this. Okay, so first of all, we know that b is equal to a plus 1. So we can write, instead of a times b, we can write a times a plus 1. And we know that c is equal to 11 plus a plus b, and we're going to write plus a plus 1, right? Because b is equal to a plus 1. All right, so this is our, so now we can just find the integer a, and by finding the integer a, we can find the integer b. Okay, so if we were to simplify this, we expand this left side, we will get a squared plus a. The right-hand side is going to be 12 plus 2a. Okay, so now we have to find the value of a that makes this equation true. All right, and this is going to be very difficult because we can use guesswork here, right? But there's so many variables that change our equation that it's going to be very hard. So why don't we change it? Why don't we use isolation, right? So let's move all the a's to one side and keep the constants on the other side. So a squared plus a minus 2a equals to 12. Still, this is very hard to guesswork, right? Because there are 3 a's here that can modify our left-hand side, and we're trying to find it to equal to 12, right? So let's continue to simplify here. So a squared minus a, right? Why don't we move the 12 to the left-hand side, right? So now we're trying to look for the values of a that make this equation equal to 0, right? So we didn't manipulate anything. So this is equal to this. So if we were to solve for this, we would find this, right? And if you guys can realize here, or recognize here, that this is actually just a quadratic equation, and we can factor this, we can find the values of a that equal this equation to 0. And so on and so forth, we can find the values of a that make this statement equal to true. Okay, so in this case, we're going to factor. All right, so I'm not going to go into too much on how to factor. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to use the cross multiplication method. So the factors of a are 1 and 1, and the factors of negative 12, let's use negative 4 and 3. Okay, if we were to cross multiply these together, we would get 3 minus 4, and that's equal to negative 1, and that's a coefficient of the middle term. And by doing so, we have found our factors, and that means we know that a squared minus a minus 12 is equal to 0. It's also equal to a minus 4 times a plus 3. And now we have found our factors, and now we can find the solutions to this equation easier, right? So if this bracket was equal to 0, right, so if we just need to find when a minus 4 equals to 0 and a plus 3 is equal to 0. And that is when a is equal to 4 and a is equal to negative 3. So now we have two values of a that make this equation true, and so on and so forth that make this equation true. Okay, because by our manipulation, we have equated these two to be equal to the same. However, we have known that the question restricted us to positive integers only, so we cannot use this this value here because we're only using positive integers. So therefore, a is equal to 4, and by 2, which is b equals a plus 1, b is equal to 5. Therefore, the two positive integers are 4, and 5, right? So let's just check and make sure that this makes sense to us, okay? So first of all, they have to be consecutive, and they are consecutive. So 5 is 4 plus 1. So that satisfies our first condition. A times B is equal to C, which is 20. Okay, so they have a product, sure. Most numbers have a product. But does C equal 11 plus A plus B? So does 20 equal 11 plus 4 plus 5? 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 11 is 20. 20 equals 20. So we have found our answer, which is 4 and 5. Okay? Therefore, the solution is correct. Good work. All right. So that wraps up today's lesson. I covered 11 questions surrounding algebra and graphing and functions. So if you have any other issues with your homework or with your tests or assignments or with any mathematical concepts, please submit them to OneClass, and we'll get to them as soon as possible. But other than that, I wish you guys a goodbye, and I hope you guys learned something today. See you guys.